Hey, what's up, Kenya Film Commission, it's been a minute. Let's have a small conversation about virtual production. There's an event that happened. I saw the poster for the event floating around, and then now I see Kenya Film Commission actually share images from the event, and I'm like, whoa, that is awesome. But did you guys, oh my gosh, why? Why first did it have to be a workshop? There's nothing wrong with that. The fact that you're actually having that conversation is a huge deal. But I think that was not the right direction. Because for context, I studied interactive media design. My specialization was the purest form of filmmaking, which is animation. And I could see what the problems were. I could see what the challenges were when I was in school. And this thing of workshops, yes, they benefit a few people, but not the right people. They benefit people, but they do not benefit the right people. I believe so, 100%. Because in college and university, I spend a lot of time in workshops. And the fact that it's happening, it's good. Don't hate the fact that it's happening, it's actually good. Anyways, I was saying, when I was in school, I could see the problems that we're facing, what you'd call the industry currently. And now, the thing with this particular workshop, and the thing that actually made me make this video, why are you doing workshops at this point? This is not the right point to start doing workshops, I'm sorry. What you need is to go to schools, to people who actually are supposed to make this shit happen. Yeah, organize to have maybe a month whereby you just go to Shangtao, go to Technical University of Kenya, go to ADMI, have conversations about virtual production. You can talk about XR or AR. Those are buzzwords according to me, because I know people who actually do that, and for me those are buzzwords, because the most important thing is the foundation, which is 3D. Because this virtual world are 3D creations. That's what we should be focusing on. I know you guys might have talked about this. Now, as I said, I never got an opportunity to attend that particular event. I wanted to, but I did not get an opportunity to attend it. But I hope that you talked about 3D. You are not talking just about XR and AR, because again, the thing about Kenyans, we know how to talk, yeah? We know how to talk about stuff, but when it comes to now the cooking process, very few people actually do the cooking. We have very few people who use Houdini professionally in Kenya. We have very few people who use Unreal Engine in Kenya. We have very, very few people who use Blender in Kenya, despite the fact that it's actually free. You see? So my issue is that the fact that we don't have enough, think of this, Cash Money had to look outside in order to get a poorly done, which is okay, a poorly done visual effect on their movie. They had to go outside. They didn't look for a person inside the country. That's an issue. We should be competing with South Asia, which already is on a totally different level. We should not be competing with the Americans. South Asia, if you go to Fiverr and try to look for 3D artists who can create virtual worlds for you, you'll find a lot of Asians who actually do it, specifically South Asians. I'm not talking about China, because China, America, those are totally on a different level. South Asia people do a lot of 3D work. And I know some people will sit there and say, oh, AI, oh, technology. Whether AI is a tool, if you're going into this thinking that at some point it's going to get easier with AI, yes, the process will be much faster, but the fundamental principles from 3D will also be necessary in applying it to your 3D virtual world. So as I was saying, Kenya Film Commission, stop workshops, go to schools, go to Technical University of Kenya, go to Shangtao, go to ADMI, go to any institution that offers 3D classes and see how you can improve on what they already have, and then encourage the idea of blue screens and green screens. Go to production company houses and start having conversations about blue screens and creating imaginative worlds whereby you're forced to use a green screen or a blue screen. Go to talk to them to try to push their story so that they start thinking in terms of, if I cannot shoot a scene in Kilimanjaro, how can I use a virtual a green screen to actually put my characters in that particular universe. Start talking of If for example someone wants to open a studio and they've come and they've talked to you, you can talk to them and tell them, oh, we are going to fund you so that you have a larger room that can only be a green room or a blue room. You know, we are so far that even the idea of volumes in the country is not even, it's something that you cannot even fathom at this point, despite the fact that it's starting to catch up. It's starting to pick traction in China and America. You see, we are so behind, yet all we can do is go talk about XR and AR. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's good for awareness. It did not have to be in Konza City, because Konza City, I don't think there's a school in Konza City. I don't think there are students in Konza City. Even you can look from the pictures, there are very few people. I would rather you go to ADMI and meet 2 students who are actually doing that stuff, who are actually learning, who are actually executing, and talk to those people than talk to a crowd of people who you're not sure if they're going to make shit happen. The other thing, if you really want to make this thing to start really going and happening in the country, is the same way that you have mobile phone competitions. You have a competition dedicated to virtual worlds, whereby the brief is simple. You can have yourself as the only thing that's supposed to be real is the people. You as a character, you as the main character, or any other person who can be the main character, or any other people, they're allowed to be real people. Every other thing is supposed to be virtual, so that more people get excited about making virtual worlds. Because even AR, XR, they're driven by virtual worlds. And in order to create that, we need to go to the foundation, and we need to stimulate the idea of more people getting into the craft, which is basically 3D. Understanding 3D, creating 3D worlds, creating 3D games. And you see, as I said, Kenyans, we love to do this kind of things, which is have a few people stand and talk like they're experts about a few projects. But when you go to the ground, because as I said, I know a lot of people who do a lot of VR. I studied interactive media design. I know how this industry, how poorly handled this particular sector of the creative industry is handled. Most people drop out because it is not working for them. You know, how comes that if someone wants a music video to be done and to have effects or to have virtual worlds, they have to go to South Africa, or they have to go to FIFA, or they have to go to the United States. Yet you have institutions that actually, you know, train this thing, and you have to be on the institution's neck. It's not about until you go there, you tell them, we are going to give you this certain amount so that you can invest in, you know, a blue room or a green room, and then you walk away. No, you go say, oh, so this is what we discussed last year. How many students are still pursuing this? What do they do? Can you see their projects? You know, if it's a studio, if it's a film, if they say, oh, we are thinking of, you know, VR or whatever, talk to them, understand where they are, what challenges are they facing, get to learn about that particular sector, so that now, when we have a good number of people, when you can see 5 movies on YouTube, 100% made using virtual worlds or imaginative 3D worlds, then you can now start having conversation about workshops and stuff, so that you can just improve on whatever has been established. I never reviewed Terrastorm because I did not want to, because the guy who made that movie is actually a dude that I've known for years. He's actually very good with 3D. But I would imply that was not a good movie. And I'm not hating on it. That was Frankenstein of a lot of ideas from the West. If you've watched Man of Steel, if basically you understand the superhero movies or a lot of video games, you'll see a lot of things that are picked from video games, and obviously Man of Steel, they're directly implemented into that story. The fact that it exists, that's very important, and that's why I never ever talked about Terrastorm. That's why I've never even reviewed it, because it's important for it to exist. And it's important for people to actually see that without people like myself coming out to actually start poking holes. Though it deserves to be poked, I never did that, because I was like, yeah, let it exist. You know, let other people get motivated so that they can actually start following that direction. But as I said, number one, stop doing workshop, go to schools. And if there are workshops, make that workshop in that institution, and make the institution to be practical. Don't just start showing presentation. Let people make stuff. you know. And if you have to talk about it, for example, that workshop happened, are we going to see a video of what they talked about? Is that video going to be available for institution to learn from it? The workshop just happened and then it died. Anyway, as I said, go to institutions, talk to more students, encourage institutions to have blue and green rooms, green screens basically. And not this small one, not just a curtain, like a whole room to be all blue. They go learn about blue screens, they just learn about how to have a proper green all blue room, and how to work with it, and how to apply it in making a movie or an animation, how to work with effects, things like that, and follow up on them. Ensure that they're actually doing something with whatever you guys plan to do. Number 2, encourage studios and storytellers to actually start thinking about virtual worlds. You know, encourage them to actually go out there and make stories. When they find that they want to shoot a scene, someone has been thrown at the Sahara Desert, how do you bring Sahara Desert to life when you just have a blue screen or a green screen? You know, let's just, encourage studios to have more spaces for green room and blue room so that they can expand their imagination. And that's important in that will create opportunities for these people who come out of school, and that will cut the limitation of how far we can imagine. You know, that will cut the limitation of, Samsung, Apple are creating, VR headsets. Where does Kenyan young people come in terms of exploiting that space? Because right now, more creative people are jumping into VR and XR and whatever, because obviously these devices will become a big thing in the future. You know, this thing called handheld is going to die. It's going to be wearables. So where are we going to be as a country? Are we still going to be holding workshops and talking about how we should be doing stuff? Anyway, that's just my beef. This is specifically for Kenya Film Commission. And you should organize to have competition for virtual worlds. You know, you can create your own 3D world, put yourself in it, and make it look believable. Or shoot yourself in a blue room, put yourself in the Himalayas or somewhere in the middle of Australia and make it look believable. You know, things like that. Encourage people. Ask people to create avatars, a small clip like avatar, and put themselves in that particular world and make it believable. Have a competition like that whereby we encourage more people to be imaginative and actually use the technology, because Blender is free. Blender is free, man. Blender is free. Just create imaginative worlds and actually embrace the power of technology. And to do with this workshop, having it at Konza City, that was a show. I'm sorry to say, I'm just going to be very, 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 very honest with you. That was a show, because you don't need to have a workshop at Konza City. How does that encourage a student? If you don't go to the school, if you don't go to where these people are actually making this stuff and actually show them that tuko pamoja. Because when I was a student, when I was an interactive media design student, we had to go to German to see some things, to actually see people who are excited about this kind of things. Yet here you are, you're going to Konza City, rather than going to, for example, Techno University, going to that class and saying, oh, you are to a 3D, we can see you and we are supporting you, we are backing you up. Actually, you're going to be having a competition about virtual spaces, and it's not about the first 3 people, it's about the 6 people. If you are 1 to number 6, you're going to win an award, so that you encourage and stimulate that particular space. I'm just being honest. I like the fact that actually happened. I like the fact that the Kenya Film Commission got involved. I love that. But wachanini in a workshop, stop workshopping and go to institution, go to the ground, meet the people who are actually supposed to do this. That's the best way to encourage people to actually do this, and encourage studios and filmmakers to actually do it. Mkienda kuongea na Philip waulize, what's the craziest thing you intend to do with your production that will need a blue screen or a green screen? Do you need a blue screen or a green screen? You know, anyway, that's it. That was my rant, specifically targeting the Kenya Film Commission. Anyway, basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy and then enjoy what you watch. I shall see you on the next one. Adios.